Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my very first YouTube video, and I'm going to be talking about my birth story. So a lot of you might be my followers from TikTok. Thank you for coming over. A lot of you wanted to hear my story, and you also wanted me to start a YouTube channel. So I'm doing both. Little man is upstairs with his dad right now. He's doing good. He's adorable. Go to my TikTok page if you haven't seen him yet. Kim Eden 76. He's adorable. I'm sure I'll be posting more videos on YouTube with him in it. So anyways, so let's get started. So I'm really excited to tell my birth story. When I was pregnant, I loved watching other people's birth stories. It was really helpful to just prepare yourself for what to expect. Yeah, and everyone's different. You know, every birth story is different. So yours isn't going to be like mine. Mine isn't going to be like yours, but I hope it's helpful. If you have any questions, just comment in the comment section below. I'll try to answer them. I might do a Q&A video at some point as well. So yeah, get started. I have my notes here. So I'll try to be as organized as I can, get through this quickly. So yeah. So I went into labor 2.5 weeks early. I was 37.5 weeks pregnant. I was not expecting to go into labor because I was told that with your first baby, you're almost always late. That's what people kept telling me. And my mom was late with all of her kids. So I was like, for sure, not expecting it at all. I was actually at a picnic with some friends. I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling normal. I didn't have like a feeling that it was going to happen soon. I really did think it was going to be later. So I went to the bathroom, and when I wiped, I saw like a part of my mucus plug, and I knew what it looked like because I'd been like looking it up. I wanted to know what it looked like. So I looked it up, and I knew that it was a mucus plug, or I assumed it was. And it was just a little bit. And I had heard that when you start losing your mucus plug, that can happen over a period of weeks. It doesn't mean like you're going into labor that second. So it was kind of exciting. It was like, oh, the labor, process is starting. But I really didn't think it was going to happen that night or the next day. I really just thought, it started, we'll have a couple weeks. So I wasn't too concerned. We were at the picnic for a couple more hours, and we went home. By the time we got home, it was like 10 p.m. And I was feeling fine, about the same. I was kind of feeling like I had to go to the bathroom a little bit. But, I'm third trimester, I was constipated most of the time. So it wasn't like weird for me to feel like that. And so, yeah, but then when I went home, I went to the bathroom again, and I was losing more and more of my mucus plug as I wiped, and then it all came out. I was like, this has to be the entire thing. It was a lot. So I was, still exciting, but it was the same thing where I wasn't thinking labor is going to start. But the feeling I had in my back and kind of my bottom area, the feeling of I need to go to the bathroom, that kept going. And so I had tried to go to the bathroom a couple times, and nothing was happening. And so at some point I was like, oh, could this be back labor? I don't know. I don't know what that feels like either. So I kind of ignored it for a while, but it started to come more consistently, and it was more painful. And so I talked to my husband. He's like, yeah, you might as well give them a call. I still wasn't convinced. I really just thought I was constipated. But I gave the nurse a call. I told her about my mucus plug, told her about the pain in my back, and she said, yeah. She's like, you definitely could be going to labor. You should come to the hospital. Let's just check you out just to see. So we did. We had thankfully, I had just finished packing the hospital bag that week, just a couple days before. It still didn't have our essential, the phone charger and snacks, but it had everything we needed. So we packed the hospital bag. The car seat we had just installed, I think, the day before. And yeah, we drove over to the hospital. Really, I did not think it was labor. Honestly, I don't think my husband did either. They took us up to the room, and I was kind of embarrassed at that point because I'm like, they're going to tell me that I just need to go to the bathroom. And yeah, but they took us up to the room, and they checked, and they're like, yep, you're definitely having a contraction right now, which blew my mind. And obviously I was super excited. So I'm like, this is it. So my husband made sure he contacted everyone at that point. It's 1 a.m. So he woke up my parents, they were thrilled. His parents were thrilled, our siblings. And yeah, at that point I was 3 centimeters dilated, 50% effaced. So they took me up to the hospital room, where we were going to give labor, labor and delivery room. And one of the first things they did actually was test me for COVID. I don't know if, I'm sure this is different in different states, but the state that I live in, they tested me for COVID and they said I needed to wear a mask until my test came back. So I had to wear a mask for about 4 hours during the labor process, which wasn't fun, but it was doable. It wasn't, you know, too bad. The room was nice and cool. And they got the test back as soon as they could, and as soon as they told me, I was able to do the rest of my labor without the mask on. My husband did have to wear the mask the whole time, which he was okay with, and yeah, I was just thankful that he was able to be there in the first place. So anyway, so at this point, my contractions were still just all in my back. I felt nothing in like my belly area at all, which was really surprising to me. But yeah, it was all in my back and all in my butt area, just pretty intense pain. And after the first couple hours, it kind of kept getting more and more intense, to the point where I decided that I wanted to get an epidural. I had gone in kind of thinking to myself that I wanted to try unmedicated, but I was definitely very open to getting an epidural if that's what seemed right to me in the moment. And at that point, because I was in so much pain, and because it was so late, so I was exhausted at the same time, my husband and I decided that's what I need to do. So we did that. One tip with the epidural, this is something that I didn't know and I wish I did know. I don't know if it's like this at every hospital, but for me, with the epidural, after I said I wanted an epidural, I was expecting that I would get it within like the next 10 minutes. That's not what happened. After I said I wanted it, I think it took like another hour before I actually got it, because they have to like pump fluids into you, and then they have to wait for the people to come up, and it's a longer process than I thought. So that hour for me was pretty miserable, because I really thought I was going to get it right away, and I had to wait another hour. So yeah, just a heads up. I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but that's what it was like for me. The epidural was amazing. I didn't feel any pain at all with it. I know some people do, some people don't. But for me, my contractions were so intense at that point that I have no memory of pain with the epidural at all, with the needle going in or anything like that. Honestly, the IV for me was more painful going in than the epidural was. And it took, I don't really remember, I think maybe about 30 minutes for it to kick in. It's kind of a blur, that part. But once it kicked in, it was amazing. The woman asked me, she's like, how bad was that contraction? I was like, what contraction? Because I did not feel it at all. And not only did it take away the pain, it also made it so I was able to rest for a few hours, which was really, really nice, because I was pretty exhausted at that point. I wasn't able to like fully fall asleep, but I did rest, which was really nice, gave me energy to keep going. At some point though, the epidural did wear off a bit. The baby's heartbeat had started to decelerate. So they decided to turn me on my side, and I think when they did that, all of the medicine from the epidural was going to like one half of my body. So one of my legs was completely numb and the other one was like not numb at all. So I definitely started to feel a lot more pain again near the end. The contractions at that point were very painful, probably just as painful as they were before I got the epidural, and probably a little bit more. At that point though, I had calmed down a bit, and I had really kind of tried to do my breathing techniques that I had worked on before. And honestly, I think that really helped me get through. And at that point, I knew how long it was going to be. And so I knew, okay, this is going to be done in, 20 seconds or however long it was. And so that was extremely helpful for me as well. And so near the end, they decided to check me again. I forgot to mention that before the epidural, they did check me, and I was 5 centimeters, 100% effaced. So I was making progress, moving along well. They were happy with that progress. So when the pain started up again, the epidural was wearing off, they checked me, and I was 10 centimeters dilated, but my water hadn't broke yet. And so they decided to call the doctor and just to have her break the water for me. That process again was longer than I thought. I think the doctor was doing something else. So again, that part was pretty painful. It's just waiting for something that you know is going to happen, but taking longer. I think it was about an hour for her to come in and break my water. So once she broke my water, she left again. And I think this part was probably the most frustrating part for us, was the fact that I didn't know what I was doing. And I was kind of told that when you're going to know when you need to push, and you're going to push. And they kind of told me what that was going to feel like. They told me it was going to be a lot of pressure in my back and my bottom. But for me, I was having back labor, so honestly, I couldn't tell really when I needed to push, which was really scary for me because I was concerned that, you know, am I going to need a C-section? Is this just not going to work? Am I not going to know what to do? So we went a long time just trying to make me comfortable because the nurse was really convinced that I would know when I needed to push. And if I didn't feel like I needed to push, then we should just hold off. So we tried doing that for a while, but I was in a ton of pain at that point. I was kind of trying to move positions a bit to get comfortable. It wasn't working, nothing was working. That was probably the worst part for me, just not knowing what to do. And the nurse that was with me was very new. This was actually her first time being in charge of a labor or of a birth. So she didn't really know what to do either at that point. So we called in another nurse and she said, okay, let's just try. Let's just give it a go. She took me, I went back on my back, which I had moved from because it was painful, but she said, let's just go back on your back and try to push. So they kind of told me what I needed to do to push. And then we started. And honestly, pushing for me was the best part of labor because first off, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. You're like, okay, this is the last thing that needs to get done before I get to meet my precious baby boy. And you're just releasing all of that pain. So we started pushing and honestly, it went really fast. I think baby was out within about 25 minutes. They put on my favorite music. My husband was a champ. And honestly, if you have a birth partner like this was so helpful for me. He was telling me the progress I was making, and he was telling me things like, I can see the baby's head now. Like he told me his hair color. I got to touch the baby's head, and all of those things honestly was so encouraging, and it just helped me like give me that extra strength to push that baby out fast. So yes, by far my favorite part. And it was just so exciting that this is it. And then I get to meet my baby. And yeah, 25 minutes, the baby was out. The most painful part about it was pushing the head out. But honestly, it's not bad because it's just for me at least, it was just a moment. 1 second of pretty intense pain. And then the head's out. And then like the shoulders and the rest of the body for me came out really quickly, which wasn't bad at all. So yeah, it was 1 second of intense pain, and then the baby's out, and then they put the baby in your arms, and it's the best feeling in the world. Zion, our baby, they put him in my arms, but he wasn't crying as well as they wanted him to, so they actually had to take him for a bit. I think he just had some extra gunk in his throat, but he was okay. And then after you give birth, there's a lot of things that they have to do down there, and they're kind of painful. They're definitely a little bit uncomfortable, but having the baby in your arms is a huge help. It's a huge distraction. It's honestly a huge pain relief because you're not thinking about it and you're like just so in love. But they do things. They push pretty hard on your stomach to make sure they got everything out. You know, you have to deliver the placenta too, which honestly really isn't that bad. It was a lot easier than the baby, and for me at least, it came out really quickly. They check to make sure your bleeding's not too bad. Because I got an epidural, they had to take the catheter out. Honestly though, for me at least, this really wasn't too bad because of the baby in my arms. I did tear a little bit. It wasn't too bad. She said I think it was a 2nd-degree tear, but I did have to get stitches for it. And I did still have, you know, one of my legs was numb from the epidural, so I think that helped with the pain with the stitches. But I know she also gave me something to numb it. So for me, with the epidural and whatever numbing thing she gave me, the stitches was not bad at all. And yeah, so that is my birth story. I'm hoping I'll do another video on kind of like postpartum healing, what I've been using, things like that. And also in the future, I want to do more videos on pregnancy, new life with a newborn, things like that. I also want to do a Q&A, so if you have any questions about this video or just questions in general or new videos you want me to do, let me know. Put them in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm hoping to do more, like lots more videos. Hoping to do at least one a week. We'll see with the newborn, but subscribe to my channel, like this video. Yeah, love y'all. Bye.